Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., creator and host of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Now, before I bring up my special guest, I have good news to share with you. I have a new website, and you can look for it at the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's right, folks. I have a new website called the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. If you have a computer, laptop, notebook, or if you have a desktop computer and it has either MSN or AOL, make sure you type in the name of my podcast website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And if you have Google on your smartphone, make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's where you find all of my news blogs, or whatever you want to call it. That's where I tell you what's going to be on the next episode for the entire month. So please check out my website and please pass it on. Make sure you check out my website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. In the meantime, enjoy today's episode and thank you for your support. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show, and it's a Mother's Day episode. This gentleman that I'm about to introduce is my paternal cousin, representing the Middleton Bellinger family. His mother was a background singer for B.B. King, Patti LaBelle, and many others. So on this episode of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, we are celebrating the mothers on this Mother's Day episode. Please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, my paternal cousin representing the Middleton Bellinger family, and his name is Richard Bellinger. Hey, cuz, how are you?
Doing well. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing fine, and you? Welcome to my show. Glad to have you here. As always, we get those technical difficulties.
Right, right.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to make it through and just making sure everything will be all right. And I haven't got a chance to meet your mom when I came down in 2011 for the
Mm,
Black and White Middleton reunion at Middleton Place. So I missed that opportunity, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. So I'm very delighted to have you here. So let us begin, shall we?
all right.
Now, what was your mother's name who sung at the closing of the Black and White Middleton family reunion back in Veterans Day weekend of 2011?
Yeah. So, can you repeat the question?
Oh, what was your mom's name? Um, who's
Uh,
a backup
yeah.
singer?
Her full name is Henrietta Goodwin Bellinger.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get to know your mother a bit. Can you tell us a bit about your mom's origin story? Where was she born, and what type of environment that she grew up in?
Well, she was born in Hopkins, South Carolina. She was the she was the daughter of sharecroppers and I think a full family of 11 siblings, and I believe she was the second to last youngest of those 11.
Okay. And do you know which high school that your mom went to?
I believe she went to what is called now Lower Richland High School. I believe it might have had a slight different name back then, but she did go to Lower Richland in Hopkins.
And what college did your mom go to, and what was her major in college?
She didn't go directly to college when she was a young adult. She ended up going to New York and taking care of children. But later in life, as I was in high school, she went to USC here in South Carolina and she majored in music. And she was going for not quite can't remember the name of the course, but it was something dealing with music.
Now, did your mom sing in a church choir? And if so, what church did your mom belong to?
She belonged when she was here in Hopkins. She belonged to the Mount Nebo Baptist Church in Eastover, and she was always singing since a child, as she would tell it. And she had a good voice, and she pursued that as a career when she left dealing with the duty she had to do with taking care of her family members. And she was in New York for majority of her life until I want to say about somewhere in her 40s when I was born.
Now, growing up, what was some of your mom's favorite genres of music?
She liked Patti LaBelle. Um, she liked a couple of gospel songs that I couldn't tell you the name of the artist. Um, but she was more when she was younger. She liked to do love songs and stuff like that by different artists and soul classical um, pieces.
Now, what was some of your mom's favorite singers? You mentioned Patti LaBelle, but what were some of her other singers besides Patti LaBelle?
I want to say Whitney Houston was one. She had a genre. Some of those any of the old time singers coming up back in the 70s and 80s. She was a fan of them.
And what were her musical influences that had inspired her? Because, like I said in the intro, when I first heard your mom sing, it was like professional. So, what was her musical influences that had inspired her?
Um, she was a very open and joyous person, and she had the gift. God gave her the gift to sing, and she developed that gift through professional training when she was in New York, and I mean, it was just it was that was her dream. She had a dream to try to become a professional singer, um, and she was on the track. But you know how life goes. You get married and you have children. So
Now, that's the next question I'm about to ask you. At Your mom was a background singer for B.B. King and Patti LaBelle and others. What was your experience in traveling with your mom? Whether it was on the road or in the studio or anything like that?
well, unfortunately, I didn't get to travel much. Once she had me, she basically became a full time mom. But she would always sing around the house. Uh, practice the vocal scales and everything. Um, and then from time to time tell stories of her early beginnings. um, as a singer, opening up for different artists and different venues. So it was pretty interesting. And it's at the time when you're young, you're just like, really? I don't know these people. But as you get older, you start putting the names and the faces to the names that were spoken. And it's like, oh, so you got to deal with these people?
Now, what cities or towns did your mom have went to or to perform at?
Um, from my understanding, I think she said she went to Georgia one time, but majority of her gigs were more or less in the New York area.
And did she perform at anything like the Apollo Theater or the Beacon Theater or Madison Square Garden or any other rotundas in Midtown Manhattan or somewhere else outside of the NYC?
Not that I can recall her ever mentioning, because I think there might have been a slight resentment that she wasn't able to continue that dream. But she was still an awesome mother. So I mean, yeah. But from what I
And
understand,
while your mom is not on tour, yeah, while your mom is not on tour, please share more about your mom, what we don't know.
well, she was an avid bake. She was a very good baker. Um, she ended up making a bakery business. I want to say late '99, early 2000s, called Delectable Edibles. And she would do a host of different bakers because she was holistic, um, and she was all about health and keeping your body balanced, keeping your body nourished. So she did different types of bakeries and stuff while going to college. Unfortunately, that business has dissolved, and the name has been passed on to a different entity. But we were thriving, and we worked out of 14 karat for a little bit, and actually pioneered their own baking, their baked good that they make now for their own selves. But my mother they didn't really have a use for their kitchen. My mother rented their kitchen from them, and I remember late nights helping her get everything mixed up, baked up, moved, and then having to do deliveries. And unfortunately, I was doing deliveries in a 1987 Buick Electra. If you ever remember what those looked like, uh,
Hmm.
and
I remember those cars. I remember them back in the day. I remember all those GM cars, Buick Electra 225 and Oldsmobile Cutlass, and they had Cutlass Supreme and Cutlass Salon and the Cutlass station wagon, as well as the Chevrolet Malibu and all those others. And we don't want to leave out Cadillac because
oh no
they
no
haven't done
Cadillac,
any station wagons.
right?
Cadillac never
Cadillac,
done any station wagons, just for like the funeral homes.
mm-hmm,
And I remember one time I was watching the Blues Brothers back in 1980. One time I see like a Cadillac, but it's like a half car, a half truck, and stuff
mm,
like that. So I was saying to myself, that Cadillac did that. I was like, it's a shame that it only did it like one time. So the
mm,
only Cadillac that I knew was, Fleetwoods and those Fleetwood
right.
Hearst and the Fleetwood station wagons for the funeral caskets and everything. So that was the GM that I knew from back in the days. Now, as I said in the intro, when I got down to the 2011 Black and White Middleton family reunion, and I left work late because I didn't get the day off as excuse my French, my supervisor wanted me. But if I'm taking a vacation, you can't take off Friday. You have to leave after work and then take the whole week off. So that's why I left after work, took the Greyhound Peter Pan bus, went express to Richmond. Then I have to wait for the next bus to leave out of Richmond. And then when Express went to Raleigh and then had to be put on the Southeastern Stages buses, went local, didn't get to my destination at around 2:30 when it was at the old bus terminal in Charleston before they moved to a new location.
Okay.
And then I had to call a cab, and then I had to stop by at the Holiday Inn. I didn't stay at those hotels that all the rest of the family was staying at. It's something that I can afford because I don't make that $100,000 a year. I worked at CBS. They were known as the cheap broadcasting system in the mailroom. So if you didn't get the salary that you really wish and wanted it, and I had to stay at those hotels along the strip on Savannah Highway in Charleston. Because I remember in 2006, I was at that hotel that I was staying at. I forgot the name of it, but I was staying there back in November of 2006, and it was on the strip. And then 5 years later, I was staying at the Holiday Inn,
Okay.
and then that's when I saw some of the other white militants
Hmm.
that recognized me. So those are the hotels that I was staying at. Something affordable for me that has the free breakfast for me. So
Yes, sir.
that was that. But like I said, I didn't get a chance to meet your mom and say, you're a wonderful singer, and everything.
Mm.
So if I would have knew your mom and her accolades, because as a church deacon, I had to attend all the funerals for my church members. And when we look at their obituary, his or her obituary, and we look at the accolades that they've done, it's like, they've done that?
Yeah.
And if they're relatives of a singer or a musician who has toured with so many artists, and we're not talking about this, especially for whether it's for Black History Month or Women's History Month or Hispanic Heritage Month, I mean, it needs to be talked about because we are looking at those who made contributions to this country, and sometimes we don't usually talk about it. We like to keep it private. But if you have children that look at something and say, hey, I want to be like that. And we don't usually share these things. And every family reunion that I have been attending and seeing all of our Middleton family, if they were coming from the ministry or the media or education and politics, and then, yes, singers and musicians who have toured with so many of our greats, those that are no longer with us and those that are new. I was like, man, if I was related to somebody, or like people call me Denzel, I'm like, I look like Denzel, but I'm not related to Denzel.
Right.
But if I was related to Denzel Washington, I would say, yo, cuz, we's hungry.
Well, you never. Hey, I mean, it's never too late. If they do, if they try to do a different type of sequel, you can always be extra.
Yeah, that
Because I
is.
mean,
That
you
is.
do favor him a little bit, but you're a little bit on the younger side. He's aged kind of. He's getting up there in age. So if they try to do, oh, back when I was younger, this is what happened to me, and then they segue back to what he really looks like. It would work.
Hmm. Yes. Now, since we are celebrating Mother's Day, if you were writing up a Mother's Day poem about your mom, what would it be about?
It would be about her heart and about the way she tried to perfect her singing gift and how she always looked out for others um, amidst the mountain of hurdles that she had to go through her life, and just about how God protected her through all of it and uh, helped be able to show love through to her family members.
Okay. Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living or dead, name an artist that your mom would have wished she had wanted to meet or to perform.
I think she probably would have enjoyed trying to do a performance with Whitney Houston.
Hmm. Okay. All right. We'll take that. Alrighty. Now, here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, I always ask my guests who are the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. But since this is a Mother's Day episode, we're going to do a little something different. We're going to be doing the Black Soul Music Experience top 10 Mother's Day songs of all time. Now, here's how it works.
Okay.
We do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem. And we will start at the bottom five. We'll have to find out which was the best song that had the best airplay. But depending on black radio or top 40 radio that didn't play or did get that much radio airplay. And we will find out what artists they were on, what record label they were on. But when we get to the bottom five, depending on what record label they were on, they didn't get that artist or group marketed or promoted. When we get to the top five songs, we will find out which song had the best airplay on radio, what was the million selling song that sold over a million copies in print, that it got as gold or platinum or double platinum, triple platinum, or today's diamond platinum. Did that group or artist have performed that song, whether it was on American Bandstand or Soul Train or the Midnight Special or NBC Saturday Night Live or Solid Gold? Or did they perform it in a music video? It was either aired on BET or MTV or VH1 or some other music video shows that was aired locally in syndication. Did that artist had their own primetime special, whether it was on CBS or NBC or ABC? Or did they had that special on PBS, whether it was great performances, or they had a special airing during Pledge Month? Or that they had that live concert special either aired on HBO or Showtime. So I'm going to start off with my top 10 first, and cousin, you can think of something while I'm doing mine. So I'm starting off with my top 10. Number 10, we start off with Treat Your Mother Right by Mr. T. Now, the Mr. T that we know is from the A Team, aired on NBC. Now, he had his LP out back in 1984 called Mr. T's Commandments, and he had a song called Treat Your Mother Right. Although it didn't get that much airplay, and yes, they had a music video that didn't get that much airplay. So I decided to play that song while I was at WBOX. So I said, let me play that song and let the audience know. So I put down Treat Your Mother Right by Mr. T, and it's from his LP called Mr. T's Commandments. Number 9, I'm putting down Mother Bowed, and that's from the gospel group The Pilgrim Travelers. And this single was released back in September of 1948. Now, this was telling about a song that Mother had prayed for us during our travels, during our destination. So when mothers always pray for us when we're going to school or going to our destination, she will always bow and pray for us to get to our destination and get back home safely. So we'll put down Mother Bowed by the Pilgrim Travelers at number 9. Number 8, Loves Me Like a Rock, and it had two versions. The first one was from Paul Simon, and that song went to number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts, and that single was from the Columbia CBS label back in 1972. And at the same time, I should say, Paul Simon's LP is called There Goes Ryman Simon. That was a song came from that LP on the Columbia CBS label. At the same time, the Dixie Hummingbirds did their version of Loves Me Like a Rock. And that was on Billboard's Soul Singles charts, and it was at number 72 back in 1973. And the gospel group won a Grammy Award for Best Soul Gospel Group at the 1974 Grammy Awards. Number 7, No Charge by Pastor Shirley Caesar. And this was released back in April of 1975. And it told the story about a son who wanted to get something for mom. And he would write down a list of what his allowance should be like. Taking care of baby sister, 50 cents, cleaning up the bathroom and kitchen, $1, and everything. So at the end of the song, when mother always look at it and say she loves you and paid in full. So we'll put No Charge by Pastor Shirley Caesar at number 7. Number 6, Grandma's Hands by the late Bill Withers. And this is from his debut LP, Just As I Am, on the Sussex Buddha label back in 1971. 2-minute song. He was dedicating this song in memory of his grandmother, always there in need. Be there on church on Sunday morning. Be there when always something good. So we'll always put Grandma's Hands at number 6 by the late Bill Withers. Number 5, I put down as a tie. I put down Sadie by the Spinners. And this was some of the, best airplay, but not that much airplay when it came out on the Atlantic label. And this is from the LP called New and Improved. And that song was released back in January 1975. And when I was in Maryland at my late paternal grandmother's funeral, and yes, her name was Sadie Beatrice Warwick. She was married to a Wilson, my grandfather, James Walter Wilson. And I was staying at my cousin's house and with my late dad and my late stepmother. And we was listening to WPFW. They were playing all the Mother's Day songs. And then they were playing the live version of it.
Mm.
So even though it wasn't the top 10 hit, but what was the best radio airplay ever? So I put Sadie by the Spinners at number 5. And I put that with Miss Diane Reeves, Better Days. And that too was talking about her grandmother sharing stories, fixing her hair and everything, longevity of what Granny can do for us. So we put Better Days by Diane Reeves, and I put that with Sadie by the Spinners at number 5. Number 4, Thank God for Mama by the Fantastic Violinaires. This was a story about how mothers always tells us what to do, always teach us from right and wrong, teaching us how to love our neighbors, and teaching us how if something is missing, if they need like a cup of sugar or something, they always tell us to ask our neighbor. And if they needed something like any clothes that they were getting ready to give away, they would ask their neighbor on what to do. So we always put down Thank God for Mama by the Fantastic Violinaires. This came out in 1989, and we'll put that at number 4. Number 3, I'll Always Love My Mama by the Intruders. Now, that's the best radio airplay song ever. And this was from their LP entitled Save the Children, released on the Philadelphia International Gamble CBS label back in the summer of 1973. The song was at number 36 on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts and number 6 on Billboard's Soul Singles charts. So again, it tells the story of how Mama always making sure that we get something in order to dress good and show respect for your neighbors and for your family relatives. So that's how mama works to get shoes for us and clothing for us and how to look presentable for someone. That's how you get something from mama. So we always put down, I'll always love my mama at number three. Number two, Dear Mama by the late Tupac Shakur. And this song was written while he was in prison back in early 1994, excuse me, late 1994, early 1995. And this was in dedication to his mother, the late Afeni Shakur. And this was real. And it talked about moms always making sure that everything is taken care of. You know, daddy wasn't there type. And it was something that needed to be said. Tupac kept it real and he told it from the bottom of his heart. So Dear Mama was the most best radio airplay ever. And this is from his LP, Me Against the World, on the Interscope label. It was number one on Billboard's rap singles charts, number three on Billboard's R&B and hip hop singles charts, and number seven on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop singles charts. And this song was approved by the National Recording Registry at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., best known for its creativity and energetic and everything. So we'll put Dear Mama by the late Tupac Shakur at number two. And the number one song that's gotten the best airplay ever, A Song for Mama by Boys to Men. And that was from the Soul Food soundtrack that came out in 1997. It was number one on Billboard's R&B and hip hop singles charts on December 27th, 1997, and number seven on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop singles charts. And yes, once again, this is a story about mama, how to teach us how to show love for others and making sure that everything is doing right. So we'll put A Song for Mama by Boys to Men at number one. All right, cousin, do you have any of your favorites?
Uh, ironically, I only have two that really stuck with me over the years, and they are in the exact same order as yours, your top two. So,
Okay, all right. So there we have it. It's the Black Soul Music Experience Top 10 Mother's Day Song of All Time. Well, Cousin Richard, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. It's been a pleasure talking with you as we celebrate Mother's Day. And yes, my condolences goes out to you in the loss of your mom. And as I said, I didn't get a chance to meet your mom. And when I heard her singing, I was like, who is that lady singing? It's like famous. It's like famous like Patti LaBelle and famous like Aretha Franklin. I was like, whoa. So again, my condolences goes out to you in the loss of your mom. And as I said, I didn't get a chance to get to know your mom and all of her accolades. So thank you so much for sharing your Mother's Day stories to our audience as we celebrate Mother's Day. Thank you so much.
and you're welcome. And if I'm able to find one of the recordings of one of her favorite songs, I'll definitely share it with you.
Oh, yes, please do. Download all of the Mother's Day songs performed by all your favorite artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a new website. Go check out my new website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. It's on WordPress. Make sure you check it out. It tells you my mission, what my podcast is all about, and make sure you share it with others. It's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com and it's on WordPress. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this episode, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for me on these 5 platforms. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And the link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, -studio. And I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting onto riverside.fm, then please become a paid member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast in the number 6. If you have a computer, go to your email address, put in your password, and go to the Patreon homepage where you see all of the Patreon shows done by different creators. And make sure you go to the search box and type in my podcast, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, and the number 6. Check out all of my audio and video podcast episodes and the video podcast clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on to Patreon, then I will be posting this episode on YouTube. And make sure you go to my YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@the-Black-Soul-Music-Experience. If you love this podcast, if you love this episode, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And to all of the mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers and aunts and cousins who are mothers, and for those who are expecting to be mothers, we wish you all a safe and happy Mother's Day.
Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And please check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Go to facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. And follow me on Instagram at SAMM.Y2980. As always, partying, remember this. Reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care. God bless. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and please be safe.